Welcome to the Future Jam podcast. I'm Mike, and I'm here with Jared from Digital Gold. What is Digital Gold, Jared? Please tell me.
Oh, it's awesome. You can look it up on YouTube. It's really fun there. I'm crazy wearing a little spaceman. Otherwise, the actual company, Digital Gold, is a place that we just host rigs for the furthering of the blockchain technology.
So Jared works in the blockchain technology every single day, and this episode is blockchain technology. And just to start things off, I'm going to read a quick quote, and it's kind of an interesting quote, and it kind of leads into the topic today. So this one is from, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name. It sounds Russian.
Ooh, I like Russian ones.
Vladik Buterin.
Oh, the founder of Ethereum.
Is that really him?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I already know.
There's some random guy.
No, he's very big.
He's really big.
Oh, yeah, he's met the president.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is a quote from him about blockchain. And whereas most technologies tend to automate workers on the periphery doing menial tasks, blockchains automate away the center. Instead of putting the taxi driver out of a job, blockchains puts Uber out of a job and lets the taxi drivers work directly with the customer. That quote in a nutshell kind of states how big blockchain technology is.
It's huge. It's like this looming thing underneath our foundation of technology of the internet, and we don't even know it.
And you guys might be familiar with it. You probably heard ads from IBM on
yes.
I've noticed ads. I think they ran a Super Bowl ad.
They did
with IBM blockchain.
They track a tomato.
Tracking tomatoes, and then they have the Microsoft blockchain, Azure.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's been around for a little while.
There's huge companies that are actually utilizing this technology made by one guy.
Correct. Satoshi Nakamoto.
Yeah, and it's insane that it started back in 2009, I believe, right?
The white paper was produced in 2008, and the actual blockchain looks to be in existence in 2009.
So blockchain tends to be a buzzword nowadays, and I'm gonna give a quick rundown of exactly what the process looks like.
Okay.
And basically, let's say you start a transaction. You want to complete something. You want to send money to. I want to send money to Jared, or receive money from Jared. So somebody requests a transaction first.
What kind of money?
Bitcoin.
Okay.
Cryptocurrencies, any type.
It can't be cash.
No, not yet.
I don't know who your listeners are, but we just need to verify it's not a credit card payment, PayPal, Squares, cash. It's not. It's only crypto.
It's only crypto.
Right.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
But it's teaser. It's much larger than just crypto.
Exactly. So
it will be.
Go ahead with the scenario.
So step 2. The requested transaction is broadcast to a peer-to-peer network.
Correct.
Consisting of computers known as nodes.
Right.
So my transaction gets broadcast to how many computers? Like
millions.
Millions of computers.
Absolutely.
And all of those receive that one transaction.
And all update.
So that's the step 3. They've all those computers have to validate the transaction.
Correct.
All those computers validate together using algorithms.
Correct.
And then, step 4, a verified transaction can involve contracts, records, or other information.
Yes.
And then it goes on to step 5. Once verified, the transaction is combined with other transactions to create a new block of data for the ledger.
Correct.
And then the new block is then added to the existing blockchain.
Oh, you got it.
In a way that is permanent and unalterable.
Exactly. It is the permanent marker of the internet.
So it's all like in linear form.
Yes.
So you can trace it all the way back to the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And so every single transaction ever made is permanent and traceable.
Yes. And so everyone's wallets from which those transactions then started are also traced back and verified.
Now, some blockchains are public and some are private, correct?
Correct.
And the public ones, you have your public user ID,
okay,
which is like a long string of numbers,
right?
and then you have a private one that you use to access what you like your coins.
Correct.
And you can actually write that down on a sheet of paper and put it away, and that's the only way you can access your digital currency.
Correct.
That's crazy.
It is absolutely amazing. And what I'm most excited about, because people often say, well, yeah, there's money involved in what you're doing, but I'm more excited about the technology. And I think that's what maybe you're excited about too, is because it's going to change the way society is right now with our system of the internet. It is Internet 2.0. It's the second rendition of what is an autonomous internet, a trackable internet, verified, unchanged permanent marker internet.
Yeah, and there's so many use cases and so many different ways to change businesses and change the world using this technology just because of how secure it is.
Right. We're not talking just about this currency. That is, like Vladimir Vitalik stated, it's completely changing every part of it. Every transaction is just a transaction. Doesn't have to be a currency. We relate transactions to currency, but transaction can be anything, any form of information. A transaction like an email, that could be considered a transaction that can be in the blockchain.
Yeah, and I kind of wanted to give this example real quick, and I read this earlier. So they kind of explained blockchain like this as far... We just went through kind of the steps, but the blockchain, think of it as like a Google document or a Word document. So say I share a Word document to Jared, and Jared can edit it, but I can't edit it, or I can't use the document while he's editing the document. Whereas with a blockchain, I can see the edit and I can access the document as well. And everybody along the line, or everybody who touches the document, it's a living, breathing document.
Right.
And everybody has a documentation of what's changed and what hasn't changed.
Except, imagine on that document, anything that you add, you cannot change anybody else's. And once you're done adding for that day, when you come back to the document, there's 1,000 or 1,000,000 other adds or edits that someone else did, but you can't go back and change anybody else's. It's impossible.
So it's a living, what's done is done, basically. Right. So if I do something on the blockchain, the only way I could reverse it is if I offer a transaction, a reverse style transaction to somebody.
No. So
that's not true.
No, the only way to reverse what you've done is to track that original block and say, whatever was on that block, you please need to refer to my new block. But that old block is still there, and you can't edit that. You can only say, see the updated block.
So it's like a note that's on the old block saying, see block 20,426. And then you go to that block, and that has the new updated information.
Right. And that's what we're going to see in the legal realm, because obviously land titles will change. And when you apply the blockchain to land titles and people purchasing land and property through the blockchain, people are going to say, well, what happens in 50 years when grandpa passes it down to his son and he wants to purchase it under his name? Well, you can't change it because it's uneditable. Well, yes, you can't change it, but you could then append another block and say, this is the new block, and then that gets locked in. So then that's set for set amount of time.
So you can trace the land back 50 blocks and say, okay, 50 blocks ago, this person owned it, and then they sold it to this person.
Correct.
This person inherited it. And there's no way of faking purchase.
Right. And there's no way of fraud.
There's no fraud.
Absolutely zero. It's truly, if you think about it, somebody who has the rights to the land in, let's say, a courthouse or a building, they could technically go in there and change numbers and draw different lines and things. And then when you go to purchase the land, they could say, oh, this is it. And that maybe they live right next door and they're adding more land to their land over the years. And you would never know the difference, and there'd be no way to trace it.
That's true.
With the internet and the blockchain, speaking specifically the blockchain, once it's locked in, it's locked in. Nobody can change it.
So the blockchain is just an idea, and pretty much you can apply that idea to almost anything. And
yes.
Why do you think it's so attractive to businesses, though? I was able to find a couple things, but one of them is that it makes the cost of running a network so much cheaper because you don't have to run really your own network.
Yeah, you don't need your own server because your server is the ledger, which is updatable on millions of other computers, and those computers are getting paid to work for you, and so you don't really have to worry about maintaining any server.
And then companies don't have to pay a middleman
No.
to do their transactions and process. So Amazon, instead of using Visa or MasterCard or a bank to be the middleman in the transaction, if cryptocurrencies ever get to the forefront of everything, then Amazon can deal directly with the customer. They send the money from the customer directly to Amazon, not through another bank.
Correct, because when you have your own wallet of any type of your transactions, whether that be financial or document type, those are yours, and you are your own bank and clearinghouse. So you can then transact with any company like Amazon, specifically one-on-one. And there's no one to tell you no, because Amazon has their transactions in the blockchain, and so do you. And no one can be Amazon, and no one can be you, because you are your own.
And because the transactions are all verified by hundreds of thousands and millions of computers, they know that transaction is a real transaction.
Right.
And I read somewhere, you know how you have a credit score?
Right.
So I read that they can kind of use that same concept and put it into cryptocurrency. So if you are a cryptocurrency, if you're a user who sends money back and forth and you're a reliable person, you can technically eventually build a bigger score on the cryptocurrency market.
Yes, I've heard about a couple of companies trying to start something like that. A new way to track your credit.
So
actually.
it's like a real credit score, not
right.
some company that runs a credit score. So
that can get hacked.
That can, yeah,
Right?
Equifax.
Yeah,
Equifax. That proves right there why we need a blockchain.
definitely. It is what's called security. It is a vault. It is not. You can't. It's done. Permanent. Done.
And since there's so many nodes on these blockchain nodes or computers again, since there's so many nodes and computers involved in running a blockchain, you can't really you can't bust into the network because you would need unimaginable computer power just to even.
I got some numbers for you, actually.
Okay, yeah, I want to hear this.
So let's pretend that we are the supercomputers of the world. Okay, so there's let's say there's the top 500 supercomputers. Supercomputers live in colleges, universities. Some companies own them.
Yeah, there's huge fight over who has the biggest one, best one. China invests billions of dollars in their supercomputer. Google, Amazon, all those.
Right, and so there's a few hundred of them. There's maybe less than 1,000 supercomputers because the maintenance and costs to run these things and things. Let's say we try to get them to fight against the blockchain, or even just change one little tiny transaction that happened in 2010.
This is not just any block. This is just the Bitcoin blockchain you're talking about.
Yeah,
okay.
We'll do Bitcoin blockchain. Let's have them change one transaction or edit one number of 10 at any point along the train. This has happened, okay?
Mm-hmm.
For them to do that, okay, they would need first at least 51% of the network, because then a block can get solved, a transaction block can get solved in 10 minutes. So if they can spoof the network and they have 51% of the power of all the computers in the world that are currently on the blockchain, they could technically edit the current transactions alive that are happening.
Wow.
And yeah, that would put everything at risk. Let's say all 500 computers combine their forces together and we're ready to fight against the blockchain and change transactions as they happen. Are you ready?
Yes.
Guess how much percentage they would make up if they all combine forces?
4%.
0.03.
Wow. So
unimaginable amount of power.
It would take a coordinated effort of almost every single computer on the network to go rogue.
Yes, you would have to convince literally half of the world at this point to go with your idea. That would be then fraud. So basically what Mike was saying was any point at which you choose to try to attack the network, which happens all the time, nonstop, the computers all are agreeance that you are not legitimate.
They push you out.
They're all together in this.
They
know,
say
they're
your
all
block
running the race.
is not right.
Right. They're all running on the same track, and then you come on the side, and they're like, dude, there's like a million of us running on the same track, dude. Where are you?
So all of our blocks look right, but your block looks phony.
Right. And you're gone instantly. So it's impossible for you to get that block in there.
That's very interesting. I didn't even know that.
I was blown away by that number when I understood that. Now I know that's not apples to apples because obviously
some blockchains are smaller.
Right. Yeah.
But still, like if you have a decent enough network, then you're going to be able to stop any threat.
Right. Yes. Anything which is, in the millions or billions on a market cap of some of these companies with the inside of the blockchain, there's no way there's millions of computers running. I mean, if you just think of even here with digital gold, I mean, if we're running 40, 50 computers for people times all the graphics cards involved, it's thousands of transactions a second that are happening just from my little thing. So from one guy to try to come in and penetrate that, it would be ridiculous.
So the Bitcoin blockchain is just one of the blockchains, and the nodes are individual users scattered around the globe.
Correct.
And how do they make money? Because they're running their computers nonstop to run this whole blockchain network. How do they make money?
Yeah, that was really smart of Satoshi Nakamoto when he created the blockchain. Was he wanted a way for the users the miners, they're called miners because they're mining for these blocks inside of the network, to validate them, to get paid for their work, because he thinks that they're providing a valuable commodity to the network. They're securing the network so it's strong and keeps its validity throughout the years.
More users, more secure it is.
Right. Exactly. The more transactions there are, the longer your transaction sits in the chain, the stronger it is. So he put a very, very small fee inside of each block to be paid accordance with what was being mined. So the more transactions you can complete as a miner, the more you get paid.
So you can get paid in a full Bitcoin, partial Bitcoin, I guess?
Oh, yeah, fractions of fractions.
Yeah. Wow. Mm-hmm. So let's look at a different blockchain. Okay. So let's say a bank wanted to institute a blockchain to run transactions with their customers. If they, say, switched over to it, like the government decided, well, I've seen that there's a couple countries actually, like, they're debating on actually turning their currency into like a crypto
like
currency.
Venezuela, I believe, is one of them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because all of these smaller countries that are like technology forward thinking countries, they want to like be the first to do this.
Right.
So if they have their own network, how are they going to pay their nodes?
So what they would have to do is first, everyone in the country needs to have a smartphone. Okay. Because you can't run a blockchain for the whole country without a smartphone. Just like technically pretend that you couldn't have cash unless you had pockets.
So would each
you
smartphone
need a pocket to put your money in.
Be a node then?
Each smartphone can be a node. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yes.
So the network could be mobile.
Yes.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane to think of.
Yeah. So that's the start. Secondly, they would probably just list it in the public forums of, hey, we're creating a country's blockchain. And the amount of volume of new people interested in this right now is astronomical. So you would have 10,000 users on your first day of introducing this saying blockchain, said blockchain. 10,000 users secure your account instantly. I mean, and that's just day one.
So they would pay the users, I guess, with the new currency? The people who are running the nodes?
Built into their currency would be a fee that is then applied to the miners to validate all transactions.
So instead of the country building a huge server farm to process all these transactions, that costs money.
Correct.
It would be cheaper probably to just have all these computers scattered about the country and processing all the transactions.
No, I'm saying the world.
Well, I mean, I'm talking if Venezuela.
Yes, Venezuela would release their blockchain to the world.
Oh, you think so?
Oh, yeah. And then the validations would be miners like myself and the people I serve, my clients. They would validate the transactions for Venezuela, as well as other people around the world.
So that's crazy to think. So these legit organizations are just using random people on
Yes.
the internet to power their network.
Correct.
Do you think that's how all the blockchains are going to work? Like, because
That is how all the main big ones out there right now work.
well, like, because I think it was Australia saying, I think Australia was saying they were going to move their stock market to the blockchain. So every stock market purchase would go through a blockchain. Would that be more of a privatized blockchain, or you think that they would open that up to users?
I don't know how you could have a blockchain that's closed loop. I mean, maybe. I guess I haven't studied enough of the IBM blockchain, but I don't imagine the IBM blockchain is just running their blockchain off of their servers, because then how is that legitimate? It's just one company running the same thing over and over again. And who's getting paid for it? Themselves? That doesn't make any...
Yeah, I guess that's the whole idea of a blockchain is it's not hidden behind like a company curtain.
It has to be open source for the world. So these computers that are validating transactions for the IBM blockchain, they would have to be worldwide, or it's not legitimate in my opinion. You could have a private blockchain worldwide. So there's a coin like Monero, which is very popular right now. It's around $230 per coin, but that is based off of a private blockchain, and you could technically run your entire business inside of there. No one could ever see your transactions. They would be there. They would be secured, and only the people who transacted on that blockchain could probably see them, but the public could not.
Okay, so thinking outside of money.
Okay.
And, because obviously that's how it started with a digital currency.
Oh, yeah. I don't think Satoshi, maybe, but I don't think he imagined what Vitalik created, Ethereum.
No, it's crazy, like just how many use cases there are. And I want to get into a couple like futuristic use cases or like ideas that we could come up with or exist that out there.
Oh, yeah.
That exists out there. So I was on the IBM blockchain use cases website. Did you go to that before?
No.
It's their own corporate website. Where I'll post it on the show notes. But they have all their use cases that they've come up with and that they're pushing. So there's this one I see. It's building a digital identity ecosystem.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so I guess they would just collect all of our identities in there and track whatever you do.
Well, yeah, on the other sense of how powerful and amazing the blockchain is, it is also a scary dark side to it, because if you think how much AI has come out in the last year, it's everywhere. I mean, I see Watson on almost every other commercial, and people don't even notice it. On the Weather Channel, powered by Watson. Well, what's Watson? Who's Watson? Why did they move Watson from the West Coast over to the East Coast and put him in downtown New York City? Why did they do that? Does anybody know what Watson is?
Everybody knows who Watson is, Jared. He won Jeopardy. Don't you remember?
Nobody watches that. So Watson is this AI computer that honestly is probably the forefront of changing technology of artificial intelligence as we know it, at least in America.
Yeah, he won Jeopardy.
Yeah, in 2010 or something.
Yeah,
long time ago.
Yeah, he's gotten better and better over the years, and yeah.
Well, they moved him across the country.
Why?
And plugged him into New York.
So closer to like the
money.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways, along with your identities, I had imagined that our identities will be completely infallible and there would be no more identity fraud. There couldn't be.
But I was thinking of it this way. So the blockchain your face could be in the blockchain. And facial recognition cameras like around streets and businesses and neighborhoods, the blockchain face recognition could track you from place to place to place. So it scans your face at the airport, and then it scans your face at the mall. It scans your face downtown at the ball game. Like it knows if they could even pull these faces off of like ID cards or whatever if they really wanted to.
And they're going to do multiple forms of verification, right? They're going to do the way you walk. They're going to do your face. They're going to do the phone in your pocket. They're going to do locations that you've been to before, and they're going to do all of that and compare it to what your track record has been, which proves that that could only be you.
And since it's in the blockchain, it can't be reversed or
Right.
removed. So they know exactly you were here at this time, and it's on the block. It's on this block.
Right.
And you were there.
So the legal system will actually change dramatically because there won't be this system of saying, well, that could have been this or it could have been that. It will actually be recorded in a public ledger that the entire world has.
But this is if we lose every single freedom that we have, and who knows if they could implement this on the back end without us even knowing.
Well, the AIs would do that.
Yeah.
Because if they're actually that smart, they would know this is going to be better for humanity as is.
So if they get a artificial intelligence to run a program like this, they could do it without us knowing because there's not a human needed to run the program, and there's not a human that could spill the beans.
It is a rumor that Satoshi Nakamoto was AI.
Wow.
So the blockchain was actually created by an artificial intelligence computer in order to create the perfect infallible system, because humans will always have errors and a computer will not. A computer will always validate itself against another computer, and 10 million computers will always validate themselves as correct.
That's another reason why businesses want this technology, because it cuts down on errors, human errors, and human errors are costly.
Oh, billions.
One rounding error, and this happens all the time in financial institutions, one rounding error will cost a company millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars.
Oh, the human error is awful in the sense of business. Now, I believe that humans are what make everything so beautiful in the other sense. But we're talking about the dark side, and where the blockchain will be the foundation to control literally all of humans and everything that exists. You won't be able to run or do anything physically with a device of any electronical sort in order to try to get away from this. It won't happen. You can't get away.
And some of this we're talking about is way down the road and somewhat feasible.
But you're correct in saying that it could be happening in the background, and honestly, I could be supporting it with my day job, running the blockchain for other customers as well.
For all you know, all your computers that you have hundreds of computers, all your computers that you have could be processing people's identities and tracking them.
It technically could, in an AI sense that I don't know about. Of course, nobody would know this, but
yeah,
it'd be too late when we did know.
It would be too late, and I'm not sure if it would really affect us non-law-breaking type people.
No.
But there's a couple things that it could, kind of make our lives a little bit easier.
Oh,
and
yes.
One of the ones I saw was voting. Everybody hates going to vote. Right. And then that comes down to human error. People are counting the votes.
Right.
Computers count the votes as well, but then they have to hand count some of the votes as well. So if they figure out a way to get your identity into the blockchain, that means they know you. That means you can vote online with your phone.
Right.
And you can validate that in the blockchain.
Right.
So they know you voted at this time and it's in this block. And that vote will be updated in real-time results, and it's infallible, basically.
It is infallible, and it's also cool to see on the other side, as ease of use you're saying. Imagine creating one account, and then you sign into Twitter, but you don't have to make an account. You signed in automatically because who else could you possibly be? So all your information from your previous accounts are already in your Twitter account, and then you go over to Instagram. And you don't have to make an account because you are yourself and you couldn't be anybody else. The only reason you make an account is because they don't know who you are. So you have to tell them who you are. But, well, I'm this email with this ID and this. Well, you would be you. So there would be no other option.
How would they verify that?
Because of the blockchain.
Yeah, but how would they know you are you, though?
Because you using that phone and that device would be built with your identity inside the blockchain of your wallet, which can't be changed or edited.
Yeah, but
so only you would have that phone.
What if somebody stole your phone?
It wouldn't work.
Oh, because the
phone literally wouldn't turn on. It wouldn't even move.
Because the phone would be using your face as recognition?
Everything.
Oh, okay.
Face, movements, your inputs, previous history, the wallet, the passwords, all of that would be only you.
So I guess that would pretty much mean the death of identity fraud.
Absolutely. And the death of creating new accounts and remembering new passwords, because there would only be one you. And you wouldn't technically, the life of passwords wouldn't even need to be in existence, because you would only need to know what your password for your one device that you were using, and that would verify everything in your whole life.
And then I wouldn't have to use that stupid Google app that keeps all the
Right.
That keeps all your passwords in one locker.
Right. And the only reason they have to do that is because they have to validate who you are, and only you know what that one password is.
And then we don't have to do two-step verification every time.
You don't have to do that.
Oh my gosh, and get a text message.
Wouldn't this be amazing? So yes, ease of use, it eliminates passwords completely.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Logins, your login is all the same for everywhere.
It would
and nobody can edit your account or hack your account or hack a website or anything. The blockchain is unhackable.
That's pretty intense, and it would change another industry, the shipping industry as well. So tracking your package is painful. Like, you never know exactly where it's at, and you can't verify, did the driver really pick the package up?
Right.
So if it's all on a blockchain, you know for certain that it's been everywhere.
Well, just watch, guys, go out there right now and watch that IBM commercial after you're done listening to us, and you can see where they talk about getting a tomato from the farmer all the way to the table. Well, think about what a tomato does. It gets smashed, it gets changed, it goes into a can, maybe it goes into 3 different cans. The IBM blockchain has figured out how to track from a specific tomato to your table.
You can watch that.
Incredible.
You can watch that video now. Walmart is actually using this system for their produce, and the reason why they're doing this is it's really easy to track if there's contaminations. So
great.
If there's contaminated fruit, each package has exactly where it came from originally.
Right.
So
and nobody can change where it came from.
Nobody can change where it came from. So if people are getting sick, they can track it exactly back to the source.
And the source can't say, well, that wasn't me. How do you prove that?
Exactly.
And then they show them the blockchain, and you're like, you can't argue that.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It's
every step of the way.
The definition of truth, almost.
They can do that for all food, all packages, all products.
Right.
And
it's mind-boggling.
And
this is
so
the
many
beginning.
uses. Yeah.
It's just happened in the last few years. This explosion of technology of the blockchain has just recently happened. We have no idea what this generation and the next generation after us is going to think of and be like, because think about it. We're building on the internet, right?
Yeah.
Everybody in our society right now builds developments and apps on the internet. Well, these people are going to be building on the blockchain, because the internet will be the layer of just transferring this information.
The data will be stored in blockchain.
But the data will be in the blockchain, and developers will be developing on the blockchain. It's going to be remarkable.
Yeah, and as coding gets better on these blockchains, they'll get faster. They'll become more secure. There's all different things. The blockchains are constantly changing,
right?
And they're constantly developing new ways of doing things,
right?
So the blockchains are, each day there's something new,
right? That is what I'm most excited about. Anything that has anything to do with cryptocurrency. If anybody ever asks, well, what coin do you like, or what is this? I say I like the technology
behind the coin.
Yes.
So each one of these different cryptocurrencies out there, each one of them has a different twist or take on blockchain.
Correct.
And what's some of the ones you've seen out there that you are kind of like, yeah, that's the blockchain I like?
I do like the Salt blockchain. It's kind of a lending club type scenario where they have businesses and individuals put money into a pot, and then you can lend money out of that pot. But the way that the transactions are done are all through the blockchain. So you don't ever have to worry about the funds were never there, or the guy's not going to pay, or this or that. The way the transfer of the financial system in Salt is incredible. So, I mean, it's backed by millions of dollars already, and it's just getting its infancy off the ground. We don't even see the expansion of it.
So
yet.
If I want to lend money, I can put money in there for people to take,
right?
And I get paid like money from them borrowing it from me,
right?
Oh,
right. But it's not done by somebody else who has an account who could technically run away with all that money.
So it's not real
impossible.
money; it's cryptocurrency.
Correct.
Money. So you buy the Salt coin.
Yes.
Okay.
So that would be one of them. Of course, Ethereum. I mean, that is the well-known. Anybody who's ever studied anything about cryptocurrency sees Ethereum, and that started back in 2014, and I was mining it back in the day. I had no idea. I just knew it was just the next frontier, so I wanted in on it. And we were mining Ethereum to help validate the transactions of the blockchain of Ethereum. And now we can see that there are thousands of other developments on top of the Ethereum network.
Yeah.
So it's like a blockchain of Bitcoin transformed into the idea of Ethereum blockchain, which then creates thousands of other new development ideas to run on the Ethereum one.
It's crazy. And they can also launch changes to the network, and they all have to agree on it. There's consensus involved. And if there's not a consensus, sometimes there's splits in networks where two coins come out of one. It's crazy.
So Mike, let me ask you, why do you think it's not mainstream? Why are people probably listening to this being like, I never heard of such a thing?
The thing is, cryptocurrencies are like, they're just, it's hard to explain it.
It's difficult.
Yeah.
It's not easy. It's confusing.
I think blockchain is, okay, so I see it this way. Blockchain is the real value in all of this.
Correct.
And companies are taking that real value away from the coins. So the coins eventually won't really serve a much purpose anymore because all these other companies are going to be using the blockchain anyways.
The coins, you're saying the price of the coin in this get rich quick type mentality inside the coins.
The coins coins are just there to pay the developers of these blockchains.
Yes.
And once the blockchains get mainstream enough, they're not going to need all these smaller ancillary coins.
They won't need the smaller ones. They will still need the coin itself in order to pay the miners to validate the transaction.
They will, but eventually, like we said earlier, eventually countries will have their own cryptocurrency coin, or maybe there'll be one for the world.
Ooh.
Maybe there'll be one for the world, and so there's just one massive blockchain, and people get paid this one type of coin.
Correct.
So, so Bitcoin, Ethereum, all these little coins or big coins, they're all like starts.
Exactly.
And Bitcoin is the biggest start of them all, but
right, because it was the first, of course.
But there's little flaws in all of them. Like Bitcoin, I read a story recently, and Bitcoin in the blockchain, I guess you can put other data in there.
Yeah, just for fun.
How does that work? How can you put other data into a block?
Well, you would just add a transaction. Well, all data is basically ones and zeros, so these numbers are ones and zeros, and so you could just add these 1 and 0 transactions into and put, like, some people have put pictures in there and random
So there's
stuff.
Transactions and then other things that aren't transactions?
Yeah, you can look up a website. I forget what it is, but it'll tell you all of the specific things that are on a specific block, and it's kind of funny.
So that's a big point of, that's a big issue right now.
Why?
The things that people have put on the blockchain could take down the Bitcoin blockchain. So
wait, I'm confused.
They've discovered that scattered about the blockchain are links to child pornography, illegal gun rings, illegal
right, which is no different than our current internet system.
Correct,
but go on. How would that take down the blockchain, though?
Because in a lot of countries, it's illegal to even have like a link to something like that. Not just pictures, but it's illegal to even have, since it's encased in the blockchain, and every computer that's on the network has the blockchain. They have all those transactions in the system. I think it's people making mountains out of molehills, but that's definitely an issue.
So you'd have to convince the entire world to shut something down, though. Exactly. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. But there's people crying like foul. There's people saying, hey, the Bitcoin blockchain has all these illegal like links inside the blocks.
Okay, yeah.
We need to make the whole blockchain illegal.
Okay, good luck.
Good luck.
Right, convince the whole world of
There's
that.
billions of dollars invested in Bitcoin blockchain.
Right. And every 10 minutes, there's another 12 Bitcoins rated at, right now, currently $9,000 a coin. So that's basically, what, $100,000 every 10 minutes?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
So we'll round this out with any crazy ideas we might have for the blockchain. And I remember you telling me this a while ago, how you had the idea where it was microtransactions.
Yes.
So instead of getting ads on websites or
Right.
ads wherever you go, you have an identity on the internet, and you click on a story, you get charged a fraction of a coin. In every like article you read or every video you watched, you're getting fractions of a coin taken out and paid to the website.
Right. So there'll be specific websites that you daily visit that will incur your account to be a specific number. So let's say it's $1. Well, $1 on the internet can last you, let's say, 45 days for $1. So you're on this website, you've gained $1 in your account. Now, inside of your account, you go through microtransactions and view a blog, a post. Well, this guy is a good writer. He deserves some credit for what he does. And you're just one little guy, and you read his blog. And when you're done reading it, you go to the next website. Well, automatically, out of your account will be debited of the dollar 0.000001, right? Well, enough of those 0.0001s add up, right? So that developer will eventually get paid if his article is good enough and is read by millions of people. Okay. Now, on your hand, you'll never even notice because your account will be debited, but you'll then go to a website that actually pays you for what you do in your content in reverse.
Yeah, you
so
get
it's
money.
An ecosystem, and it's always changing. And basically, it will help those people who are just starting out and trying to make a name for themselves. And the people who are normal users don't have a chance to pay them for their credit.
I love the idea.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fantastic idea. And everybody's tired of seeing ads, the same ads over and over again.
Oh, the ads world would have to completely rebrand themselves.
And Google is the
like.
king of ads. I'm not sure Google would want this to happen.
Google does not want this to happen, and I don't know if you guys have recently heard, but Facebook actually killed blockchain and Bitcoin type information being spread through their feeds and people posting things about it, specifically pertaining to initial coin offerings, ICOs. But,
I'm sure Facebook's going to use the blockchain technology, but they don't want the coins.
Right. So it's that type of stuff, and so we're going through a transfer. So we're going through an issue of trying to figure out what this actually means for ads, because that is what pays for our internet. If, in honesty, why do you get to use the internet for practically free? You know, your $50, $100 a month plan. Why? People around the world do that. Well, because ads are paying for it. It costs more than $50 or $100 a month to pay for the service to run the internet. Let's be real here, guys. Okay? So where does that money come from? It comes from the ads. And the ad companies are happy to pay millions to Google in order to promote their product.
Yeah, all the services you use are free. Facebook, Gmail.
Exactly. Why?
Everything's free. Instagram, it's all free because it's run by ads.
Correct.
And what's funny...
But we could, what you were saying, microtransactions, we could pay for those.
We take the power back.
Right.
And I think that's what these companies are afraid of.
Yes.
Is that the consumer is taking the power back.
And the consumer is then choosing who they want to support and not just random ads that they click on that they're supporting on accident. You click on an ad, you're literally giving that person money, and you don't even realize it, and it was an accident. That would not happen.
So if governments and banks and corporations all want to keep control of us, the consumer, they better hurry up and get their own cryptocurrency out fast.
That's right. That's true.
Because if the United States doesn't jump on this, if Canada doesn't jump on this, then we're going to jump on this ourselves.
As the users.
And we will figure out the path it's going to be going down, not the government, not the big companies.
Right.
So the government and the big companies are just now figuring it out. And this has been going on since 2008, 9.
Right.
And they're just now...
Oh, we're really far ahead
It's
already.
8 years later.
Exactly.
It's 8 years, 9 years later, and they're just now... IBM's just now using this technology.
And the users are honestly 25 to 35-year-olds.
So the corporations are behind the average users on this. Right. I think that's kind of to parallel the internet. That's kind of how the internet was. The corporations did not adopt the internet. Like users adopted the internet before corporations really mass adopted it.
Okay, I got an amazing one that just happened this week.
Yeah.
So this week, speaking of the blockchain, I just moved into a big building. It's amazing. It's a huge warehouse, so I can support my clients better. And I need to get insurance on the building. So I called the normal insurance people that have been doing it for years in the area. And he says, no problem. He asked me a couple questions, and then he says, I'll call you after the weekend. So 4 days go by, and I call him, and he says, well, you're denied by 3 different players. And I said, well, why? And he goes, well, you mentioned Bitcoin on your website. I said, what? He's like, yeah, they don't want anything to do with data mining or cryptocurrencies. I'm like, okay. So I could make popcorn in this warehouse and they would give me insurance, but I can't get insurance because I'm involved in Bitcoin. And they said yes. And so he even went to one of his big players, who is a huge tech giant that gives insurance to all kinds of tech companies and startups, and they denied me as well. And I'm just like, this is amazing, because I think these insurance companies are in cahoots with the banks, right? And the banks don't want to pay the money out to the insurance companies if we're involved in a currency that's against the banking system. I know I'm a little conspiracy here.
That is conspiracy a little bit.
But that's a little crazy. I'm like, basically what this guy was, I told him, I said, sir, you realize that you're telling me as an individual back in the 90s, creating a website on the internet, you're not going to give me insurance because you don't know what the internet is.
No, I think
same scenario.
I think the reason is insurance companies have to get their capital from the bank, and the bank does not like cryptocurrency capital because the price fluctuates so much that they just don't trust it yet.
So they don't trust companies that are involved with it.
They don't trust companies that are involved with it. They don't trust companies that are involved with it because who knows? Tomorrow they could be under.
Well, frankly, I think it's none of their business.
It's not.
It's the user's choice. And if I'm cooking popcorn or making computers, they should still give me insurance. I'm not asking. It's frustrating.
It is very frustrating. Jared,
but this is what I deal with. And I don't think people in the 90s had to deal with this.
No.
When they were creating the internet, they
had to deal with dial-up internet that was really slow.
You need a cable run? What's a cable? I don't know if I can do that for you in that warehouse over there.
They had to wait for a picture to load up for 10 minutes. I'll tell you that much.
That's the issues. They didn't have insurance issues.
No. Any final blockchain things you want to add before we close this thing out?
I just want people to research for themselves what their definition of the blockchain, because me and Mike here just nicked a little tiny corner of a fragment of how powerful and huge this is.
We kind of gave you the groundworks, like the foundational things of what the blockchain is, but it changes every day. You can follow websites that give out news stories of breakthroughs every single day. Like I saw a second ago, a guy wants to do like a gambling using the blockchain.
Right.
So, hey, I gamble, and I know that you got the money, and I know that I won, and you give me the money. Blockchain.
Right. It doesn't stop.
It doesn't stop.
So it's exciting. So I would just tell anybody listening, please go do your own research and think of a cool, creative idea that you want to see in the blockchain in the future.
And you can implement this in your small business, big business. It's scalable. So if you're worried about security, look into the blockchain. It could be there to protect your users' data, your friends' data, whatever. But yeah, thanks for listening, and you can hit us up on the Future Jam on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're everywhere, guys. Call us on our number, 513-BOT-COLA. We haven't had any callers yet because you guys are a bunch of jerks. I'm just kidding. Jared, where can they find you?
You can find me on YouTube at Digital Gold, or digie.io is the website, and I'd love to have you guys be involved with the blockchain.
And you can actually get involved directly with Jared. Contact him on his Twitter or on his Facebook page, and you can own your very own Bitcoin mining machine. It'll be in Jared's warehouse, and you'll be pumping the money.
Yep.
Directly to your home.
Exactly. I make it really easy for you. I take care of everything.
So that's a quick plug for your business.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, no problem. So, yeah, contact Jared. Catch you later.